Welcome back to Cloud 2K, and today I want to talk about Paul George a little bit. I have the article up here. 76ers Paul George provides a knee injury update, aims to return within the next week, and it's been obviously a very, very rough start to the season for the Philadelphia 76ers and Paul George. Philadelphia 76ers forward Paul George appears to be progressing well in his recovery from his knee injury. As you know, in I think it was the beginning of the third quarter. They talk about it here. George, who was partial participant in Tuesday's practice, told reporters afterwards that he's hoping to make his return hopefully within the next week. The Sixers already ruled out Paul George, star center Joel Embiid, and veteran point guard Kyle Lowry for Wednesday's game against the Houston Rockets. It will be the ninth game that George has missed so far in his first year in Philadelphia. He's only played 8 games so far, I believe, so he's played in less than half the possible games. Paul George hasn't played since he suffered a hyperextended left knee in Sixers loss to Memphis Grizzlies on November 20th. It is the 26th as I'm recording, so it's been about a week. It's the same injury he suffered in the preseason and forced him to miss the start of the year. And then they go into here. When he was healthy, the 6-time All-Star performed well below his usual standards. In 8 appearances this season, George averaged just 14.9 points while shooting career worst of 38% from the floor, about 28% from 3, also 5.5 rebounds, about 5 assists, and about 2 steals. This team has been an absolute disaster, and I'm going to title this I want to talk about Paul George, but a lot of it's about the Philadelphia 76ers as well. They are 3-13. They're tied, or I guess technically they have a better record than the Wizards because the Wizards only have 2 wins, I believe. But they're one of the worst teams in the entire NBA, and that's just not something that should be happening with the way this team has looked going into the season. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, you think you have Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Caleb Martin, and then Joel Embiid at the center spot. And we kind of knew Joel Embiid was dealing with some injuries over the summer with Team USA. Some people were like, oh, he probably shouldn't have played in Team USA if he was injured. That's not for me to sit here and, we can talk about that, but that's not for me to decide. He wants to play for Team USA, wants to get a gold medal. I can't really fault him for that, but it does look really bad when you do that and then aren't there to play for your NBA team when the season starts. But that's something Joel Embiid and his team have to kind of figure out, and then the 76ers got to figure out, not for us to figure out. But yeah, they're 3-13. Tyrese Maxey's been missing some games. He's on a minute restriction right now. Paul George has only played in 8 games and has not been good at all in those 8 games. And Joel Embiid's only played a few games, and he's had 1 or 2 games he's looked pretty good, but still not looking like the superstar MVP version of Joel Embiid that we're used to. And this team is just really, really bad. Now, one thing they've really been able to lay their hat on is that the Jared McCain surge to start the season is phenomenal. He's right now, I think, first or second in Rookie of the Year odds. And now I know he's had a couple games down here and there to recent, but honestly, Jared McCain is very, very good. And I think a lot of people knew that going into the season, Jared McCain was really, really good. Now, a lot of people don't like Jared McCain because of the TikToks, the off-the-court stuff, which honestly, a guy like me, I don't really care. As long as you're a good player on the court, then I don't really care. I don't want to say I don't care what you're doing off the court, because obviously there's a lot of stuff and some players in this league I don't like because of stuff they've done off the court. But painting your nails and dancing on TikTok, I don't care. I don't do it. I don't paint my nails. I don't dance on TikTok and stuff like that. If you want to check out my TikTok, I post clips sometimes, not really that much, because I prefer just kind of stay on YouTube and X or Twitter, whatever you want to do that. Go shout out Cloud2K on X, Twitter, whatever. Go check that out. I kind of just live tweet the games and stuff like that. Anyway, I could care less that he's dancing. I really don't care that he's dancing. As long as he's a good player, that's all I care about. And he's been a very, very good player. And that looks like it's pretty much all that article is. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of look at that. Doric Sam, shout out Doric Sam. But again, I pulled up Paul George's stats here, and yeah, whoa, man, this has not been good. He's played in 8 games. He's averaging about 29 minutes a game. Yeah, 15 points, less than 40% from the floor, 28% from 3. It's been just by far down. You're coming off a season where he averaged 22.5, 5, 3.5 assists. I mean, he is having five assists, so I guess there's something you can look at there. But his 3-point percentage went from 41% down to 28%, 47% from the floor down to 38%. And, part of me's like, okay, what do this Philadelphia 76ers do at this point in time? Because how long are you gonna just wait for this team to get healthy? You know what I mean? This team is 3-13. They're 14th in the Eastern Conference. And it's the Eastern Conference is not good right now. Actually, I could probably pull that up we'll look at the Eastern Conference standings right now because, yeah, it is really, really bad. They are the 14th seed right now. They're 2-8 in their last 10. But you have the Cavs at the 1 seed. They've been on their crazy start to the season. Celtics, I think, still the best team in the league at the 2 seed. Magic have been really good, even without Paolo, because they were really good with Paolo. Now, with Paolo being out, Franz Wagner has taken a huge, huge step and it's been absolutely phenomenal for them. They're the 3 seed. The Knicks are the 4 seed. And then you have the Heat, who have, as of recently, turned it around. They're looking like a little bit of a better team. The Bucks are 8-9. Remember, they were like 2-8 at one point in time, so they're turning around. They're getting back, and then Chris Middleton should be coming back here very, very soon, I believe. The Pacers, I don't know. I don't really know what to think of the Pacers right now. They're not a good team. Tyrese Halliburton really hasn't been very good at all at the start of the season. The Nets, 8-10. They've been fun to watch. Cam Thomas has been really fun to watch. Cam Johnson's been really good. Dennis Schroeder's been really good. But they're a team that I think is fully wants to tank. So I don't think this is a team that's going to be trying to make the play-in. I don't think they should be trying to make the play-in, if I'm being honest. I think at some point in time, Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith are going to both be traded, and this team's going to kind of fall to the bottom of the standings because they want a top pick to try to get a guy like Ace Bailey, Cooper Flagg, or whatever they're trying to do there. Detroit, they've been fun, and they're starting to look pretty good. They started the year like 0-4, and they've been 8-7 since then, which, it's about a game over 500. But for this Detroit Pistons team, that's very, very good, man. They just have a lot of pieces. Even with Kate Cunningham being out, they've won a couple games. They won last night against the Raptors. I watched that game. Jaden Ivey hit the game winner. Shout out Jaden Ivey. The Bulls, I don't know what's going on with the Bulls. They're kind of just stuck in this mediocrity spot. Like, I don't know if they're going to move on from Zach LaVine or not. I don't know. I think they're going to try to. It might be tough. The Hawks aren't very good. The Hornets are a lot of fun, but it's just the LaMelo Ball show. And then Brandon Miller is also good. But other than that, not much going there. It's just like the 76ers, I don't think they missed the playoffs. I think they're going to be at least a play-in team. Because if you look at the Pacers, the Nets, the Pistons, and the Bulls, the teams that are there right now, I think they're better than all these teams. At full strength, fully healthy, they're better than all these teams. Fully healthy, I think they're a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. But when you're this far behind, you're 10 games under 500, man. You could win 5 in a row, and you're maybe now touching the play-in, which a fully healthy version of this team could do. I'm not saying this is impossible. I think it's actually very, very possible that they do this, but you cannot afford, you can't afford to lose these games. Like, you need to be able to win games without your star players, and I understand Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid, that's like, 60 to 70 points, maybe even 80 points of your offense right there. I understand that. The role players have been really, really bad. Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond has been pretty bad. Like, it just hasn't been a good year at all for these guys. And it just makes me wonder, like, what do you do? Because you have Paul George for the next, 4 years? You're paying him, around $200 million to be there for the next 4 years. I don't know how much of that is guaranteed off the top of my head. I wonder if I can actually pull that up here because I don't want to misspeak on anything, obviously, when I'm making this. Yeah, 4 years, $212 million contract. And let me see if I can, because I want to find out exactly, how much of it is guaranteed, because that obviously makes a difference. But it's still, that's a long-term contract. 5-year contract would make Paul George, 37, 38 years old when this is over? Yeah, he's going to be 39 years old. I had to kind of redo my recording software because I started scrolling through that page and it kicked me off because it was like sensitive content and whatever. That was kind of weird. I don't really know. But this team has a lot to deal with, man. We went into the season, a lot of people, I don't say a lot of people, but I think a lot of people thought this team could be title contenders in the Eastern Conference. I understand Joel Embiid's never been past the second round. That's a big thing. But, I mean, this is a guy that's an MVP candidate in Joel Embiid. You bring in a previous All-Star, Paul George, who's probably going to be your third option, who could be very, very good as a third option. And then Tyrese Maxey he's really showed himself as a really good All-Star point guard in this league, one of the best point guards in the Eastern Conference. And the fact that you're 3-13, again, I get it. It's been a lot of injuries. But even when they're playing, they're not good. This team is stuck for the next, I don't know how long, man. I don't know. Paul George just, listen, I'm a fan of Paul George. But this guy talks. And honestly, for the past couple years, he does not back it up on the court. And again, I'm saying this purely as a fan of Paul George. He does not back up the talk on the court. What was that, 2 years ago? He said he's going to start bringing bully ball. We don't see that. He's still a pretty soft player. He's a very, very skilled player. But, man, when it's not working, it can look pretty ugly with Paul George. And that's honestly what we've been seeing so far this season. It's what we've kind of seen the past couple years in LA. And like again, he's had some really, really good moments in LA. He took them to the conference finals the year that Kawhi Leonard got hurt. And again, I'm really like I'm not shit talking him because like I do like Paul George and I think he's still a good player. But at this point in time, man, I'm not telling you you don't have to stop podcasting because honestly, I listen to the podcast. I enjoy your podcast. I have my own podcast. Shout out Time Out with J and G. It's gonna be on the screen right now. Like I get it, man. It's a lot of fun to do, but it's like, you know, you and Jackie Long in Dallas, you guys are on this podcast. You guys were kind of talking shit about your old team, talking shit about some people, like talk about how you're gonna be so great this year. And then it's you know what I mean? And again, health, I understand is something you can't really control. But when you're on the court, this can't be what we're getting. This cannot be what we're getting when you're on the court. This team is far from a championship contender. And honestly, this team might have screwed themselves. They really might have screwed themselves with Paul George because I just don't. We haven't seen a healthy, consistent version of Paul George since early LA or OKC. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below what the Philadelphia 76ers could do, but I really think they're in trouble. Peace.